What we're going to do next is a fishbowl, which is a very exciting concept. We're just moving the furniture around a little bit here in the room for you online. That's why we've changed the camera angle. And the idea of a fishbowl is that if you have a burning issue that you'd like to come up and speak about, we're going to have two moderators, Marty and Rowena, who are going to be permanently in the chairs. Then there are two hot seats. Yeah. And if you're also in the audience, if you're still in the audience behind me, I can now turn towards you. If you'd like to come closer.
So I guess there's lots and lots of elements to how being a fantastic destination or being a destination that certain people or tourists or whatever want to travel to. But do you think there's a particular elements that are specific to nomads that destinations need to be thinking about?
Well, I'm going to look at this from my entrepreneurial point of view. So when we also designed this digital nomad permit, the first thing we did is we checked out our competition, basically. And we tried to improve upon what they already had and to come up with a better product. I think that eventually, over time, but the competition is going to get hotter and hotter, and countries are going to want to compete for attracting those digital nomads. And the only way to do that is by actually offering something that really meets their needs and their expectations. And for example, on the subject that we just had with sustainability, that's a very important subject for most digital nomads. And I think that the country should invest in those kind of subjects in order to get happy customers, basically. Because at the end of the day, a digital nomad is a consumer. And you want to attract those consumers, and you want them to start talking positively about your country among their friends and other like-minded people. And we, as a Digital Nomad Association, we are actually making efforts to make sure that digital nomads, when they come here to Croatia, that they don't feel alone, that they feel that there is a supporting network. We do that by organizing all kinds of meetups, events, even like a help desk. I think we are the first country in the world that has a digital nomad help desk, all to make sure that when people come here, that they don't feel alone. And now I hope, of course, that all those people that are experiencing that in Croatia, that they will talk very positively about that among their friends and other like-minded people, and that will then over time attract more digital nomads to come to Croatia.
Fantastic. And are you looking at ways to gather feedback from those different touch points to understand how the services are working or resonating with those nomads?
Well, we are definitely having a dialogue with them. We're meeting with them. We're hoping to get their feedback, but there's no structured way where we are doing like surveys right now and get that feedback. Maybe that will come in the future, that whenever a digital nomad leaves, of course, we need to identify, be able to know who they are and where they are. But when they leave Croatia, we have something like an exit survey to get that kind of feedback from them. Yeah.
In terms of where you are right now, in terms of being in Croatia, do you feel like DNA Croatia is that almost like the bridge between digital nomads and the tourism office in terms of what the tourism office needs to know about what people are experiencing in Croatia? Do you feel like you guys are that middleman? And if you don't feel like that, what are some ways that the tourism boards can engage with you and all the DNAs across the globe to make sure that the destination is what it needs to be to attract more people?
Yeah, I would definitely want to believe that we are that organization. We are making efforts to be that organization. We are being contacted over and over again by local tourist boards that are asking for our support. Sometimes that's just joining in an event with them. But at the same time, I'm very much aware that we are quite limited in terms of budget, in terms of how much we can dedicate to all of this. We are living in a country that is rather cash poor, and there's simply not a lot of money available for these kind of things. We are being funded by the private sector. We have some of our sponsors like Raiffeisen Bank and Croatian Telecom. They're here with us today. They've chipped in. Really great to have such partners on board. But it's not enough. And for example, what we've seen over the past 6 months, we had Michael Freer on board with us. He was our director of the DNA for a mandate of 6 months, and we made budget for that. He has a salary. He wakes up in the morning and thinks about digital nomads, and we need that kind of dedication if we want to move forward. And that obviously therefore means we need budget to afford strong individuals that can really drive this change.
And Dean, tell us some deciding factors that have been for you when you've gone from place to place in terms of where you're going to stop that is in support of digital nomads. Like, what are the deciding factors? Like, I need this, 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 and this.
In ancient times, 5 years ago, when we were all solo travelers and being a digital nomad was a more unique thing, I cared mostly for having a good Wi-Fi and maybe a
I
co-working
thought you were going to say a
space.
good wife. I was going to say, I offered you that yesterday, but okay.
No comment. And so
Say yes to everything, Dean. Remember?
how did I end up in this fishbowl? I feel like it's a roast now. No, but it was really having the Wi-Fi and co-working spaces, and maybe easy to book a place to stay. But with time, community has become a more key element for me. I rather go a place where there is a large thriving community than more sites and landmarks to see. And what changes now, and I see it with Croatia, especially in some other countries, they moved from advertising "come visit us" to "come stay with us." Right? This is no longer "hey, come see Eiffel Tower." This is more "hey, come immerse in our culture and live." So this is what I'm looking for now. Countries that want me to stay, not to just come and visit, have the permit. Taxation start to be a burden when you really live this life and you decide, okay, I am married to this lifestyle. Then you start to have different questions that you didn't ask yourself before. How do I deal with taxation and health insurance and access to different services, right? So that's what I think about right now, especially as I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm looking for those countries that provide me the infrastructure. And we see Estonia doing amazing effort with the digital residency, and Croatia allowing people to come here, and more than 40 countries offering a visa right now. So this is becoming the factor that really what I'm looking at.
And you touched on healthcare, which is extremely important. I live in England. It's a place where there's free healthcare, regardless if you're from England or not. So in terms of healthcare, how important, because I don't think we think about that either. Like, do you have accessibility? If something happens to you, can you get it? Can you get that fixed? Are there enough dentists if you need an extraction? Like, how much do people not think about that, but should be thinking about that as well?
Yeah, I think health insurance is something that you want to have, but not to think about. I'm not going to do name dropping, but in the last 12 months, I was working very closely with one of the largest insurers in the space to create a new product for digital nomads to insure them and keep them safe, and just travel with ease in mind. So definitely it's important. As a guy who got robbed, no matter where, and had a bike accident, no matter where, I needed those services, and they were there for me. So this is also something great that happens right now. We see all these digital services. You can have an online bank and a global SIM card, and global health insurance makes this life sustainable and possible.
Absolutely. By the show of hands, how many people who are nomadic or remote have healthcare? Because I don't. How many people struggle to get healthcare in the different places that they are? No, it's fairly easy. Okay, nope, that's one. I'm another. I mean, I don't. It's free in England, but I don't want it. I'm just like, yeah, no, it takes forever. Okay, that's just important to know, because maybe for next year there's an insurance person here. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Are you part of that? Oh, okay, yeah. Please.
Thanks. We solved it at Safety Wing, and we actually partner with Growmotely and many other platforms where you can hire anyone in the world, and you can offer them health insurance, which is nice. And the health insurance travels with them. So if you're a digital nomad and you want to stay 3 months in Spain or 4 months in Croatia, that insurance travels with you, and it's a private health insurance. So you can bypass the local one, and that way you can get the health services you need. So like,
can you give us some price points? Just curious.
Yeah, like around $100, I would say. And usually companies will also buy it for their employees and contractors. So we saw a huge demand during, COVID, as people were going remote. They're like, hey, I need this for my people. How can I cover them? How can I give them something extra than what the NHS gives you? Let's say in the UK, there's long lines to get any service.
Waits.
Exactly. So like, this will bypass any of that, and you can get the service you need, whether it's in England or somewhere else.
And please tell us how we can find you again.
Loudly. It's safetywing.com.
Safetywing.com.
It's one of the sponsors here too. So. Sorry.
Here's some people coming through, I think. Yeah, so we've got some people joining us from different, I'm not sure who everyone is, but we'll maybe get people to introduce themselves. I recognize some of the faces. I can see Steve there from earlier. How you doing, Steve? Nice to see you. And a few other, but let's go around the virtual room. Thank you for joining us virtually here around the world to Dubrovnik. So the person with the glasses there in the middle, who's that? Let's say hello, introduce.
Yeah, okay. Hi again. My name is Marijana Ivanovic. I come from Maglian, which is a co-working and co-living campus just opening in the mountains in Serbia, on the mountain Divčibare.
I know Erkan is there. I can see him to the right of you. So we'll come back to you in 1 minute. And I'll see, Erkan, you're joining us from the States, from DNA in the States, correct?
Yes, I don't know. I'm not sure if...
Yep.
Oh, okay,
wonderful. Perfect. Thank you. And down on the left-hand side, we have Marcelo.
Yes.
Buenos días, buenas tardes. ¿Qué tal?
Buenos días. Hello, it's Marcelo. I'm from UbiWork. So what we want to do there is to extend the digital nomad lifestyle to corporate workers, those people who cannot just move to different countries, but can stay up to like 3 months. And I'm from Spain, and most of our locations are from Spain, and we are trying to help people from Central Northern Europe to spend more time in the sun.
Bienvenidos, over to you, Steve. Remind us again.
Yeah, I'm Steve, just digital nomad, writer, video producer, and content marketing, basically. And I was based in Croatia for 15 months. Now I'm in Florida, and I'm going to Colombia on Wednesday.
Wonderful, and I believe we've got someone from Bulgaria, Martina.
Hello, this is Martina. I'm representing the Digital Nomad Association of Bulgaria. We are a brand new organization. I call it that we are still babies. We want to develop the ecosystem for digital nomads in Bulgaria and to create a perfect collaboration between nomads and locals, so we benefit the society and benefit the nomads at the same time.
Fantastic. What a diverse group. It's wonderful to have everyone joining us today. So I wonder if any of you would like to jump in on any considerations from a destination point of view. And I know, Erkan, you're looking at Americans going out of the States. I remember from earlier. So, but maybe it would be good for Marcelo maybe to start off with contributing what destinations can do to welcome nomads.
So one of the most important things that I find is technical stuff, like when you, I would say more apartments and housing that this has the means to work effectively. Like if you are going to be more than answering email and you were to develop some work, I would say strong internet, or even, so I would recommend hosts at the destination that want to capture digital nomads to have some home office setup. And then also from the local tourist office, rather than just, because Spain has a long tradition in what's called sun and beach tourism. So if they want to develop more on remote work tourism, this is a great way forward.
Give us a summary of what Bulgaria is thinking of in terms of welcoming nomads.
First of all, I think that we should focus on creating the visa so that we give possibilities for everyone, no matter from where he comes, to be able to come to Bulgaria, to stay for a period of 1 year and be a digital nomad who is living in Bulgaria. I think this is our first and most important thing that we should do now. Then at the same time, we want to create a website that will be a complete platform that will give support for the digital nomads and will offer services, will offer accommodation, co-working and co-living spaces, will offer information for events, will offer information for projects for collaboration between digital nomads and locals, between digital nomads and government structures. We want to gather everything at one platform so that if you want to come and visit Bulgaria, you can just simply go to our platform and find all the information that you need.
Fantastic, thanks for that. Maybe we'll also go on to another question for all of you. When you've been nomads yourselves, what's been the most important thing for you in a destination? So let's make it a bit personal for a minute. And Erkan, I know you can contribute to that. So maybe we'll go to you and then over to Steve, because that's relevant as well to hear from people with the real life experiences.
Just to test it before I start speaking, is everything you can hear me? Okay.
Good.
So basically, because I'm working on digital nomad visas as well in several countries. I mean, the key thing has been obviously my personal experience, to begin with, and then you build on the data and information you get from other remote workers and digital nomads. So I do believe, going on, like, I'm sure everybody can resonate there with any digital nomad that they've talked to and themselves, where key thing that creates the tie with a destination is the relationship you have with locals. And that's where I do believe generally the destination-based digital nomad associations, which Jan and the DNA Croatia is doing a tremendous job, is to connect them with the destination by having a closer a relationship with the locals. And I do believe that's the key that the destinations should work on, and that's the key aspect that has made me love a destination in particular, is when I made friends there. I think that's the simplest way to put it, and I do believe that is key for a destination, and because of that, I think there should be a lot of initiatives like another shout out, Chromads. I don't know if Paul can hear me, but he's doing an amazing job out there with Chromads, and I do believe that a lot of other destinations should take a great example of that one. So I believe that's key for a destination to pretty much thrive and attract more digital nomads.
So true, and Paul's done some great work. So good, he's appreciating the shout out here. He's appreciating the shout out, and those initiatives like that, they can be simple things. I mean, obviously you have to get people to buy in and be involved in them, but they can be really effective in joining together the communities. Steve, would you like to add anything else to that in your experience?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of what everyone has been sort of saying, what Dean and Erkan just mentioned. There's like the draw to a place, or what gets you to stay is meeting locals, I think. But what needs from me is like already having digital nomads there as a magnet, sort of like I'm fine going off the beaten path and going somewhere that people don't really go. But as you travel, you kind of start to want more community. So you look for places that are already sort of on the map. And so places like Croatia, which wasn't necessarily on the map in the same way that it is now, they were just like shouting from the rooftops to come. People came and created a community, and then that community interacted with locals. And so you like a place because people are there. You love a place because of the people you meet there. And so I think it's sort of a symbiotic sort of relationship in that sense for me when I look for places now.
I have a question, and this is for anybody in the room, specifically, not specifically you, but you made me think about it. So what is a way that we can tackle over tourism in this digital nomad space? Because oftentimes, like you're saying right now in Split, there is a housing shortage. So there's a housing shortage, but there's also this incredible opportunity for you to come here and be a digital nomad for a year. But how is that either helping or hurting the overall tourism of a place, especially when people are not welcoming to outsiders coming in because of what it's causing in terms of inflation? Right? Like these are the real issues, right? We're going to get down to the dirty here, as I like to say. But how can we as a community tackle that? Because it's not always going to be desirable for every single destination when there's already over tourism.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Done. No, I think Anna Maria said it on the last panel. Like, she makes sure that she doesn't pay tourist prices. Mm-hmm. And she negotiates, and if someone's not willing to negotiate with her, then she will go someplace else. And I think that's a really great point. Also, diversify. I talk to so many people every week, and 60-70% of them want to come to Split. We talk to hundreds of people a week. So that gives you an idea of how many people want to come to Split. And then aside from that, most of it's Zagreb. No one really, in terms of that we talk to, very few come to Dubrovnik. No one's going to Zadar, even though I recommend it a lot. Some people go to Pula, but that's it. There are so much more to Croatia than just those cities. So diversify, try and get out of those cities because there is tons to explore.
And what are some ways that tourism boards can help funnel those people outward? Because if everybody's like, oh, Split is popping, you know, you got to go to Zagreb, it's amazing. You're like, no, go to this place. I'm like, I've never heard of it. What are some ways or some tools that we can use to start funneling people other ways so there's not overcrowding?
Yeah, that's tough. So back in March, we had a women's campaign where we highlighted female entrepreneurs from all over Croatia, and we did interviews with 5 of them. And one of them was Eva Sila, who runs Secret Zagreb, and she works with tourist boards all over the country. And I asked her this question, and she said, you know, what's tough is that most of the funds go to the larger tourist boards. And so the smaller tourist boards in the villages and towns around Croatia are at a severe disadvantage when it comes to advertising and attracting people. But you know what? Croatia is an amazing road trip country. So you don't need to be sold on something. Just get in a car and go, and just stop in the different towns all around. You can find something.
I think also if you show prices would be very interesting, like geo arbitrage, because a lot of people are going to Lisbon and like these places, and I'm like, it's already overpriced. Like, why would I go there?
Yeah.
I'm interested in going inland Portugal. Show me a place that's like $500 a month that I can go with my family and just really take advantage of geo arbitrage. That's why I'm a nomad. That's why I do this lifestyle, because I can pay 1/10 of the price I pay in the US and go to these really interesting places inland. So I wonder if there's a way for them to show these like prices and maybe places to stay for that amount to nomads and showcase that somehow. That would be very interesting.
Or maybe you'll create it because you created something else. Yep, Dean.
I just want to say that we probably should stop not trusting, but waiting for governments to make a change. Like they won't.
Exactly.
This is not what they're for. They need to support and just highlight and help the private sector to build businesses and help this happen, right? We see Nomad, just mentioned by Erkan. The government, the Board of Tourism need to pump this out. If there is an effort put by private people, this is what they need to do. They don't need to do anything, the government. Just sit and enjoy the fruits of someone else's labor. But what I see in other countries, including Croatia, which is a lot of competition between the different regions, and this is why people don't go from place to place, because Zagreb is competing with Zadar, Zadar is competing with Dubrovnik. Stop competing. The government shouldn't run anything. The government should just put the infrastructure. That's all. Let the private sector, we see saltwater nomads, we'll see Cromads, we see Digital Nomad Association. That's what we need to promote. Like, yeah, government won't. Just sorry.
Go ahead, yeah. Should I swap? So one thing I really got into a bit more before the pandemic, but mostly during the pandemic, we were of course locked down and we couldn't travel, obviously, was to think about, obviously, Insta travel, for example, is a problem. Let's be honest. Like, everybody sees those fancy pictures of the Bali swings and all the rest of it. Obviously, we will see all these same pictures. And the thing I tell people is, what's your intention? What is your story? Like, what is it you're trying to actually tell? Like, okay, you want to get this great picture of like you floating on a fabulous swing, but is it that you want to be in a beautiful place, for example? Is it that you want to go like travel to meet local communities? And if so, why not then go outside, just like we've been speaking about this whole entire time? And so therefore, my whole thing became, what is your story? Like, what is it you're trying to tell? Not, I've been to the exact same, because I went on one of those Bali Instagram tours. Like, I'm a project manager, I'm a communications nerd, I had to go see it. And you'd see, like, obviously, like the one picture on the swing and just lines queuing all the way back for the exact same picture. But if people just like went further outside of these little areas, there's so much more to this country. And same with Dubrovnik, I find as well. So I think telling your story and figuring out your why you're traveling, why you're doing your remote working is such a huge part of it as well.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree, because what I said earlier is people have this like checklist of all the things that they absolutely have to hit, you know, the Instagram shots that they actually have to make, you know, and they don't want to. They want to be force-fed what it is that they're supposed to see in a country. But explore, you will find better pictures, I promise. but you never know what you might find, and you just have to take a risk and be okay with the fact that you don't know what to expect. But that's how you have those incredible experiences, is when you don't know what to expect.
By show of hands, and there's no wrong answer, how many people in this room are okay with not being in a major city, but being on the outskirts, as long as there's infrastructure where you can actually go in on the weekend if you want to? And how many people realistically aren't okay? Okay, good. You guys are easy.
Yeah. But I think there's I think we're closing message. We might be kind of running out of time. I think that's really interesting. Going to join the dots there. We're talking about longer stays. We're not talking about short-term visits. So we have a responsibility as well of changing our rhetoric, because there is a lot of rhetoric and noise in the nomad community about those Instagram tours, about those notions. Look, we've just looked at all the hands. We're open to further exploring, experiencing, doing road trips, taking longer journeys. So that's what we need to start making sure is coming through as messaging as well, with lots of examples.
And to add to that on messaging, one of the words I've heard thrown around a few times is competition. It's not a competition. They're alternatives. The communities, I think it was Dr. Chop who said yesterday, for her, it's not the destination, it's the community that's there. And so that's why I'm so glad there are so many destinations currently that way online that are joining, and that we're about to see in the next session, because nomadic, you're going to different places and you'll return. I mean, Han, you came back for this. Thank you. And so that's certainly something I want to get out there. Back to you.
Excellent. So I'm not sure how we're doing on time. And I just wanted, we've come up on time. To the people that have joined us virtually, thank you so much. Mariana in Serbia, Erkan, Martina, Steve, Marcelo, muchísimas gracias. Wonderful to see you all. I know we've had some technical difficulties, so thank you so much for bearing with us. This has been my first Fishbowl. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciated everybody's contribution, and we'll carry on that conversation over lunchtime.